Hi, welcome to this first session on the actual building of an effective cold mail, which is about how do you prepare before you sit down to devise that cold mail. Sales is a planned process. If you have a consistent plan, you can expect consistent results. So before we sit down to actually devising a cold mail, the first thing we need to know is who all do we want to send that cold mail to? Where do we want to address that cold mail campaign to? So we need to first prepare a list of companies, names of people with whom we want to connect to be able to create a conversation. A lot of you may be thinking, why is it that I am going back to first principles, fundamentals of sales? You'll be surprised at the number of salespeople who have no knowledge of what they need to do before they actually sit down to send a cold mail. They just walk into office, find a name and shoot out a mail. It will never help you achieve your objectives for the cold mail, which is to ensure that the mail is opened, read and remembered. Remember, the purpose of the cold mail is that it is to help you start a conversation when you actually make that cold call. So if you want that connect to happen for that person to give you those few minutes, then you need to use the cold mail to create the connect, create the context and create the interest. So in preparing that mailing list, it is expected that you will know which are the target segments that you should approach, what are the kind of companies that you should be approaching, who are the people that you need to connect within these organizations. So that is the first step, is to create a list of companies that you need to connect with. You can create these lists by going to various databases. I use Fundu Data, which is pretty good. But in my experience, I have seen that databases are usually suspect. Their information is never accurate. They don't track people movement within the organization, out of the organization. They don't have accurate information at that point in time, the current information at that point in time. So databases are usually suspect, but you can do your initial homework and create a list of names. Now, using those list of names, you could possibly use the most genuine and accurate platform for any of this kind of information, which is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator can be used to not only get more details about the company, but also the people whom you want to connect with. LinkedIn normally has a good list of people, current information on the people and the organization. It categorizes people by role and responsibility, as well as senior people, management teams. So you are able to quickly clue into the kind of the people that you want to get in touch with. Typically, who would you want to know? You want to know who the user is. You want to know who the influencer or the gatekeeper is. And obviously, you want to know who the decision maker is, who is obviously the CFO or the CEO. All of this is categorized and very easily searchable within the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now that you have created a list of names of companies and people that you need to connect with, the next important information that you need to get is the contact details. Usually, databases, as I've already said, are suspect when it comes to contact details. LinkedIn normally does not publish any contact information. So where do you get the person's email ID or mobile number or phone numbers when you do not have these published in these domains, in these public domains? So the one source that I use is Lusha. You could visit lusha.com to subscribe, and Lusha pops up on LinkedIn whenever a LinkedIn profile pops up. So along with the LinkedIn profile, Lusha pops up and provides that person's email ID and mobile numbers as registered, wherever it's been registered, wherever it can get that information from. I've been using Lusha quite extensively, and I find the accuracy levels are as high as 70 to 80%. Email IDs that I have got from Lusha and I've used, mails have never bounced back. So Lusha is a good source to use for getting contact information. And like Lusha, there are other database search engines like hunter.io or Rocket Reach, which I've been using. I'm sure you guys are used to using many other such engines and tools which you can also continue to use and get this kind of information. But what happens if you are unable to get the person's email ID? None of the sources that I have mentioned or you know of are able to give you the email ID that you want. If you don't have an email ID, it could be a serious roadblock to the cold mailing campaign. So what do you do in those cases? I have encountered such situations many times like you do. I use a site called Zobacop. Zobacop is an aggregator of all the information around the companies that are registered in India. So if you go to Zobacop site and you put in a company's name, it will pop up all the information given about that company at the time of registration, which also includes the email ID. Now, how is this important? The given email ID in the Zobacop site may not be of the person that you're trying to connect with. But what that gives you is the email construct. When I say email construct, what I mean is john.smith@xyz.com, jsmith@xyz.com. If you have this construct, which is very unique, most companies have their own philosophy of how they want to john.smith, j.smith or jsmith, john.s. Different companies have different ways of constructing their email. But if you have this construct and you know the name of the person you need to connect with, you can easily come up with the email ID. Once you have that email ID, you're on. You can send that mail without having the danger of it bouncing back. So now you have a good list of companies and people that you need to send out a mail to, send out a cold mail to. It's not enough to just have the list ready. If we want to create a connect, if we want to create a context, then we need to be able to build content for that email which is relevant to the person that we are sending to, relevant to the organization that we are sending it to, because we want to create a context. By creating a context, we want to ensure that the mail is not only read but is also remembered. Why? Because when we make that call and we refer to that mail, we would like that person to recall in some fashion that they had seen or read some such mail. They may not remember the entire content, but at least they should know or remember that they have read some mail sometime. That is the opening that we require to be able to start a conversation. So it's important for us to know who we are sending that mail to, know the organization that we are sending it to. What is this organization? What are they dealing in? What kind of business are they in? What is their product or service that they are selling? Who are their customers? Where are all their customers? What are the customers saying about them? What is the team size? Who is the management? Get every bit of information. When you have all this kind of information available with you about every name in that prospect list of yours, then you can look into your own customer base and see where all you can create a connect. Where all have you sold to some company which is possibly in a similar domain, if not the same domain? What kind of solutions have you given them? What kind of benefits are they accruing from the solution? And be able to create some kind of a story, some kind of a use case that you can in some form share in the cold mail to create a context, to create a relevance. Same thing with the people that you are going to reach out to. You must know more about the person and the people other than just the name and their contact details. What we need to know is, where did they come from? What were their previous assignments? What roles and responsibilities did they handle? Because if you know this kind of information about the people whom you want to actually connect with, then you can create the context by possibly sharing some information on a conversation that you're currently having to one of those previous companies that they worked in. Maybe some solution that you're sold to one of them. Create the user case, create or explain share what kind of challenges that you are addressing in those organizations and the benefits that they are accruing. What will this do? This will make that person think about their own challenges, their own pains. They may be having a solution and they would like to know what is it that your solution can do for them. They are having a problem which is being met in a certain fashion. What can your solution do for them? This is the thinking that we want to bring in the person who's reading that mail. So therefore, it is important to note that the cold mail should not be about you, your product, or your company. It should be more about the company that you're reaching out to, the person that you're reaching out to, and the benefits that you can deliver to that company. That is what will make the person read the entire mail and remember what he or she has read. That is the context that we want to create. One last bit of information before we close this preparation part of it, which is knowing when to send that mail. You've done so much of homework to create a connect. Now, if you go and send that mail at a time when the person may miss out seeing that mail, then the entire effort is lost. So it is important to know which days are good to send out a cold mail and what timings during the day would actually ensure or have a higher opportunity for the person to read the mail. Mondays are a bad day because Mondays the person is inundated with pending work, pending mails. So the person would be very clued into only those that are very important to be addressed immediately or on that particular day. In the burst of mails that come to his mailbox over the weekend, your mail could get lost. So do not send any mail on a Monday. Any other day other than a Monday is fine. Again, if you send the mail first thing in the morning, it could again get lost in the flood of mails that come in for the person first thing in the morning. So it is best to send a mail again between 12 and 12:30 p.m. just before lunch, so that the person comes back from lunch, opens the mailbox and he sees your mail, would have the inclination to open it because they are in a much more relaxed frame of mind post lunch. So the opportunity of your mail being seen because of low traffic and be it being opened and read are much higher if sent closer to lunchtime and any other day other than Mondays. I hope this gave you some idea as to what to expect from the program, what to expect from this training course on creating an effective cold mail. Please wait for my next video, which will be posted in the next 3 to 4 days, which will be on creating an effective, good, strong subject line to ensure the mail is opened. Please do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell button for notifications. Until then, wish you all the very best.